So next up, we have offerings from an Italian brand, Scarosso. Mine is a tobacco brown loafer. I believe the specific model name was Raimondo Sigaro Scamosciato.
All right. Yeah, it's funny you say that because I think Scarosso is in fact a German brand, but they're made in Italy. And they have that whole spiel about everything like Italian.
So they embrace the Italian heritage, if you want to call it that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Funny.
Mine is something called Andrea Moro, and it's likewise a loafer. I've had Scarosso shoes for years. I think that the first impression of this was unusual in a sense because it has woven leather. It's not that many brands that offer that. And it's a little more unusual, right?
Right, absolutely. Yep. My first impressions for this were that it was a nice color. I did like the tobacco brown. I think it's a little bit different than what you might see in the brown colors from some other loafers. The toe of these, I did immediately notice, was a little bit more square than you'll see on a lot of other loafers.
Absolutely.
So that's another point that makes them a bit more unique, but I did like it for that reason.
Yeah, I think mine is a little more rounded, right? So they have many different loafer lasts. Price-wise, this is like $2.95, so more in the higher end of the spectrum. But woven leather makes things more expensive because there are no machines that can do that, to my knowledge. And this is actually woven like of an element shoe where it's like embossed.
Right.
So it's different. So typically, woven leather shoes, if it's really woven, are more expensive just by default. How much were yours?
Mine were $245.
Okay, so $50 less basically because you have the suede leather versus the woven.
In terms of workmanship, I didn't have any complaints with these. Once again, the stitching did seem to be fairly even.
Yeah, it's a Blake construction, right? I think all of their shoes are that. Not most Italians don't do Goodyear, just like the English all do Goodyear. The Italians are like Blake Rapid. That's just what they do.
Right. One thing I did notice actually is that there was on one of the soles here, there's a slight piece where there's a little bit of a gap in between some of the pieces of leather in the sole.
Okay. Oh yeah, interesting. Yeah, maybe just the glue doesn't hold. And the stitching on mine goes up until here. On yours, I think it looked. It's hard to see because you already put the leather sole over it.
Correct.
I think sizing-wise, I got a 44 in this one. Typically, I have more like 45 or like US 11. But that's really fits me really well, especially in a loafer. I have still some toe room. It's not off. Yeah, just a soft shoe compared to maybe a Moral Code. Yeah, much softer.
Right.
Or Beckett Simoneau. At the same time, I think it still keeps its shape well.
Yep.
And also for the old shoes that I've had over the years.
Good to know. I got this one in a size 41. I'm a little bit new to European sizing as well, more accustomed to US shoe sizes. So being able to know your size and convert, that's important too.
Yeah, at the same time, I find even sometimes within brands, it can change depending on the last.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
So it's all relative. It really helps if you know your shoe size and one thing. So if you have any of the shoes that we cover here, you can choose the other pairs based on that sizing, right? And that's why it always helps to know what size we get in each shoe and how they fit so we can kind of gauge what would work for us and what wouldn't.
Right. I think the fit for these, for me, was generally pretty good. Again, being a loafer, they were a little bit on the looser side, but definitely not to as great a degree as some of the other loafers.
Any chafing for you there?
No chafing, no problems with rubbing on the bone. There's a little bit of heel slippage, but again, with a little bit of a modification, maybe putting a tongue pad in, I'm assuming I could totally alleviate that and they would fit just fine.
Yeah. I mean, the cool thing I got here about woven leather is that, it's actually woven, so it's like little holes. It should be more breathable, which is nice in the summer.
Right.
But then they put in a full leather lining in it, which counteracts that. If they had kind of thought about it and perforated it, it would have been even better, I think. Otherwise, yeah, it's a more low profile on the side. It's kind of they're all sleek. Like I have these other shoes from them. They're like olive green tassel loafers, and they're also very slim and sleek. And overall have held up really well over the years. Despite the soles being so thin and the leather being soft, they still kept the structure and the look. So frankly, if I look at their classic dress shoe range, I'm not that impressed. So for those, I would probably give them like 3.5 out of 5 stars, just because I didn't like the look that much. But for the loafers, all of their loafers I had, I think it's like 4 or 4.25 stars. I think they just are nice and what I would want in like a summer elegant loafer that is comfortable.
Yeah, I think this was a great shoe option, certainly. The fit was not 100%, as I said, and there were some slight construction issues with the sole coming apart just a hair on the one shoe.
Yeah, definitely.
So I gave these ultimately a 4 out of 5. Had there not been issues, I probably would have gone even higher with these.